You're watching Suckprofessor. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank. I'm joined by...
James.
Oh, James. Hey, everybody. Young Pope 2, Episode 2 with Jude Law. We're going to do a quick review for you, give our initial reaction, little summary, mostly how we responded to the episode. Are you excited, James?
I am.
Are you wearing a weird red dress that looks like a weird chess piece?
Every day.
Yes, that's so good. I sent it to you. I had that custom dry cleaned for you. So, James, Episode 2. Big lot of stuff happened, kind of.
Yep.
Pope's doing some staffing. He hired a new kangaroo, and he's gonna and he gave a big speech at the end, which I thought was incredibly satisfying as a viewer.
Yeah.
Also, utterly fucking terrifying.
Exactly. I think there's maybe like 5 or 6 major things that happened this whole episode that we should touch on.
Let's start at the beginning.
Keep it quick. Okay, so the first thing's not a major thing, but I thought it was kind of cool how it opened with all the cardinals and the priests and the nuns kind of going through their daily lives in the Vatican, playing soccer. There was one nun without a hand. I thought that was kind of interesting. Just sort of like, the whole oxygen mask and then smoking the cigarette.
Yeah.
That kind of montage. That was a little bit interesting.
The more pedestrian things of their lives.
Yeah.
Don't forget the bored wife getting banged by her shitty guard husband.
Esther being banged by a guard guy. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's going to pay off a little bit later because we see Esther at the very end, but she doesn't come into the fold in the rest of the episodes. So that's kind of building towards something
Not
more
a big
important.
part in this thing, but they're setting her up as some sort of role later on.
Right. So the first major thing is we see a new player on the field, a woman walking through dressed in business attire. Turns out her name is Sofia. She's a marketing executive for the papal merchandising branch of the Vatican.
Right.
So, yeah, she's used to putting the Pope's images on plates, T-shirts, everything you can possibly put the name and likeness of the Pope on. That's her bread and butter.
Shot glasses, bobbleheads, towels, beach towels, and, of course, Pope hats.
Exactly.
Yes.
So she meets with him and starts proposing things that she wants to put his image on, and he stops her when she mentions plates. And she goes, plates? Yes, even plates.
Yeah.
She even brings out an iPad and shows him different mock-ups of the different, floral arrangements and little wooden horses around the perimeter.
Yeah.
Different styles of plates that his image might be emblazoned
For the
on.
fancy, expensive ones.
Right, and he's kind of eating it up. He's going along with it, but what he ends up doing is walking across the other side of the room, picking up a plain white plate and saying, this is the kind of merchandising that the Pope should be associated with because the Pope is no one. I am no one.
Yeah.
He wants to be, as he calls it, the invisible Pope, and likens himself to figures like Daft Punk, Banksy, Kubrick, Salinger, J.D. Salinger, because they were all people who refused to have themselves photographed. They were enigmatic members of the art world.
They were, what do you call it? They were footlooses. No, they were, no one could find them. So, yeah, but and he explains that that's what built their reputation in a lot of ways. And he convinces her. She's like, yes, I actually am starting to like what you are saying, Pope.
Yeah, she completely makes an about face. She comes around.
Yeah,
and it was one of my favorite scenes of the episode, too, when she first sits down with him.
Right. Yeah.
Where he's smoking, and she goes, "Oh, excuse me, can I smoke as well?" And he goes, "Oh no, Pope John Paul II forbade it." And he keeps smoking.
And he looked right at Viola when he told her that.
Yeah.
He's constantly saying, "No, hey, fuck you, asshole." That's basically what he does with every little glance and stuff.
But he's saying that you cannot smoke in here. But me, the rules do not apply to me.
Yeah, of course not.
Always asserting his power.
God created rules. He doesn't have to follow them.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, so the next thing that I picked up on in this episode is that we see a flashback back when Sister Mary is young.
Yep.
And we know it's her because the dialogue says so, but more so because she looks just like Diane Keaton's younger counterpart from the original episode.
Same lady same
actress.
Yeah.
But it turns out that she also raised another child right around the same time that Lenny was coming up.
Constantino.
Yeah, Dussolier.
So close.
Or something like that.
Dussolier.
Yeah, that's probably much closer.
Yeah.
But he was,
little redheaded kid.
Yeah, and we see him later on as an adult talking to Sister Mary in the Vatican, where he is now a cardinal, but he dresses like a common priest.
Yeah.
And he gives a great line where it's something like, she asked if he likes it there, and he goes, no, it smells of incense and death.
Yes.
I prefer to live in a place where it smells of...
priests, boners. I don't know.
No, of excrement and life.
Really? He says that?
Well,
shit
yes,
in life?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that. They were both smoking, too, in that scene.
I believe they were, yeah.
A lot of smoking going on. Yeah, so he's a childhood friend who knows him well, but obviously he's been outshined by Wonder Boy Law.
And that actually happens a scene before the whole merchandising scene, but it's in the same
early
story.
phase of the show, of the episode.
Yeah, and then there's even a place where we get to see the special warehouse that Lenny has set up. Because remember in the episode prior to this, he said he wanted to be able to aggregate all the gifts he receives from the public in space. Mm-hmm. And he gets a very special gift from the Australian ambassador, which is located in this area. And he originally goes there to see all the cards that school children have sent to him, one of which is more prominent that he takes a liking to, where the children what does the child ask?
Well, how do I know I believe in God, or
Exactly,
something
yeah.
like that. And I don't know about exactly, but yeah.
And he kind of keeps that as the cornerstone of his philosophy throughout the rest of the episode. He takes that with him.
Yeah, so we see that later on.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool, though. That
Yeah.
He puts in his pocket. He also took a lighter from a big bucket a bin of lighters, because he's like, they found out you smoke, and then everybody send you lighter.
Yeah,
that's why Catholics are great neighbors, because if they find out you're addicted to something, they'll just help you be a drug addict.
Yeah, I think he said, like, they call you the Pope who smokes.
The Pope who smokes. Great band in Illinois when I was a teen called the Smoking Popes, by the way.
So, but what else does he find in the warehouse? What gift does the Australian ambassador give to him?
Well, it gives him a rattling cage with a ferocious animal on the inside, which was one of the cooler scenes in the episode, I thought. Is that the answer? Yeah. So he horse whispers a fucking kangaroo. Well, I guess it would be kangaroo whisper.
Yeah, there's no wrangler. He lets it out on his own volition.
They're like, no, we gotta give it to this.
Those things will kill you.
They're monsters.
Yeah.
They'll put on boxing gloves and fuck you up.
Yeah, and not
just like a boxer would.
Yeah, but not only did he let it walk out of the cage, but he set it free, unchained in the Papal Gardens.
Yes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now they have big gardens, so that's a giant parcel of land. It's not like one of our parents having a fucking kangaroo running around the backyard, sleeping in the kids' playpen. All right, go ahead. Well, then what happened? That was an intense scene, though. I thought that was really, really compelling.
Yeah, and then shortly thereafter, or shortly before, in the same time span, we see Sister Mary trailing Violo.
Yeah.
Or I can't say his name correctly, but anyway.
Violo.
But she is supposed to be his guardian angel. She's watching after him to report back to the Pope.
Yes.
For any transgressions that he might commit while he doesn't know he's being watched.
And they did a nifty misdirection. He goes in. He's wearing street clothes. He's still got the priest white collar thing, whatever. But he goes out. He's wearing a hat. And he goes into a building. And this really attractive woman kind of follows behind him a few steps back. And she's like, oh, going to see a hooker, huh? Yep. Classic.
Yeah, so she's standing outside smoking.
But then she arrives on another spot, like a video game. She finds like a parking garage or some ramp or something.
She's looking through a nice, well-lit window.
And you know what you do when you're stalking somebody? You smoke, because that's the dumbest thing to do. You smoke afterwards. The little orange thing is easy to spot.
Yeah.
But anyway, she sees in the window. Turns out he's spending time with someone who's close to a disabled younger man.
Yeah, disabled child. We don't know if this is a child that he's taken pity on and that's connected to him in some way. We don't know if this is actually a child that he's fathered himself. But they're trying to dig up dirt on him, and what they end up getting is seeing a softer, more tender side of a man who we've previously seen described as the devil incarnate.
Yes, by the other one of the other cardinals.
So he's not all bad.
Yeah, and it wasn't the hooker thing was a total misdirect. Not that it's just an attractive woman.
We expected that of him based on the information we had of him up to this point, but it turned out not to be the case.
And it's because it's exactly what I would do. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. No.
Yeah, but it's still true that there is a mole in the Vatican.
Yes. A mole in the Vatican. Well done. Anderson Cooper will get to the bottom of that one.
Yeah.
All right, so then what?
Okay, so the next thing that I have note of is that he meets with the prefect for the congregation of the clergy.
Right.
And by he, I mean the Pope.
Yes.
And he calls this man the most powerful man in the Vatican or something.
Yeah. It sounds like the prefect, when I looked it up on Wikipedia, they're basically like a staffing thing, but they're sort of a higher up. They get to decide where all the priests go and shit.
Yeah, he's in charge of mentoring younger priests.
There you go. Yeah, that's
so
right.
Essentially, he starts talking to the guy, and he starts grinding information out of him by saying,
did you vote for me?
Yeah, did you vote for me? And the guy very honestly says, no, not even once.
Yeah.
And he inquires why. And he goes, well, because I know that you were a pupil of Spencer. I know that Spencer was conservative. Therefore, I assumed you must be conservative.
Yeah.
I, however, am not conservative. Therefore, I did not vote for you.
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
Very logical. I mean, he wasn't, and he said,
it's my duty to be honest.
Yeah, and he said, even though, I didn't vote for you, my loyalty and obedience to you will not be affected by the failure of myself to vote for you. I will be forthcoming and honest with you in any question you have. So he says, okay, be honest with me in this question.
Yeah. And he said, are you a homosexual?
Yeah. So, and he kind of paused, took up his glasses, composed himself, himself and answered, yes, he is. At which point, Jude Law's character reaches forward and very obviously presses the button like a terrified bigot.
He just immediately goes like awkwardly toward the button, just like, oh shit, we gotta get him out of here.
Yeah, and then
put him
later
in the kangaroo cage.
Yeah, and later on in the episode, he confides that he has to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, because he's cleansing. He's cleansing the.
Yeah.
He's making sure there's no enemies of his or people that might go against their beliefs or whatever. And that moment when the woman came in, who's like, "Do you want the snack?"
Yes.
And he's like, "What? Snacks?" Like he didn't expect her to have such a shitty excuse.
She's supposed to come in to save him from an awkward encounter.
Excuse me, sir. There was a leak in the bathroom. You must go get your tools and fix the leaking toilet. And instead, he's like, "No, snack." And then he's like, just looks at the guy and he's like, "It's I gotta get you gotta go. I gotta eat a snack."
Yeah. I wipe at your butt. I wipe at your butt.
You sound like Mario, who's like down on his luck and he's wiping asses down at the beach for a living. But I just like that little interaction because it's like, it's not like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, the thing was, the whole point of that button is to make an encounter less awkward. That just made it so much more awkward.
It was great. So then what?
So the next thing was, maybe not chronologically, but the next important thing that I saw was that he met with Spencer. Because Spencer, we find out, was not only the man who tried to kill himself in the prior episode because he truly believed he should have been the next in line for Pope.
Yeah.
We find out he was the mentor of Lenny.
I think I understood that.
We knew that? Okay.
Yeah.
I might have glossed over that. I missed that.
Well, the prefect mentioned it too. Like Spencer was the conservative.
Oh, right. No, in this episode we learned that, but in the prior episode, I don't think we knew that.
Fair enough, yep.
So he sits down, he goes to Spencer's house, sits down with him, and starts saying things like, I need your help. I need you to be the new prefect. I cannot have this homosexual guy being in charge of rearing future priests.
Yeah.
And he also says, I need your advice. I need your help writing my speech. I need all these things from you. And Spencer just starts eating grapes and spitting them across the room and saying, no, screw you. I'm supposed to be Pope. You're not supposed to be Pope.
Yeah, you ruined my life.
Yeah, you have it in your power to make me Pope. Resign.
Yeah, Spencer apparently called him there, though, right?
Yes.
Because that's how that scene ended, or he goes, you didn't... I got you. He goes, why'd you call me here? So I could prove to you you're the Pope, and now you're all alone. He wants to hurt him. He wants to make him feel isolated. Yeah, and also I'm thinking, hey, Vatican, buy some seedless grapes, okay? I guess I could just pay somebody to clean up. I'm sure he's not cleaning up his own grape seeds. Seeded grapes are the devil, as far as I can tell.
He also said, you are nothing, and then he said, you do not know love.
Yes, which was peculiar. And
not only could we tell emotionally that was hurting him, but him being the Pope, but he also said, Spencer, you are hurting me.
Yes. And it almost had a father-son kind of dynamic.
And it was the first time I saw...
An abusive father and then an abusive son.
And it was the first time we saw the Pope actually being subservient to someone else.
Yeah.
The guy said, I'm not, just because you're Pope, don't think I'm going to treat you differently. You're always going to be Lenny to me, and don't think that's ever going to change, because it's not.
Which is something I tell James at least once a day.
Yeah, and he was taking it like a scared puppy.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah. Not at least certainly not with the same kind of bravado that he approaches every other interaction with everybody else.
His confidence was completely gone.
Yeah.
And we could tell he was a more broken man at that point because he goes over to Sister Mary's house, who catches her in a state of informal dress.
Yeah. She's wearing the PJs.
Yeah, which says something hilarious on
I'm a virgin, but this might be an old shirt or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meaning I might have had sex. You're so naughty.
Yeah, so he basically
confides... I wear a shirt that says, not a virgin, okay? Quit asking me.
Yeah.
Not a fucking virgin.
Yeah, so he now believes that he does not truly see the face and the voice of God.
James,
because he doesn't...
I'm a virgin.
Okay.
I'm a big virgin.
That's fine.
All right, go ahead.
I will not judge you. But he says he does not truly see the face of God because he does not know his father. He does not know his mother. So he asks her about his parents. And she tells him some brief information. They were from Venice, but I see a lot of orphans come in, interview a lot of parents who never come back or I never see again. I don't have any more information to give you. And he's hopeful, thinking, well, maybe they're still in Venice. So it makes me think that he's going to try and go on a quest to track down his real parents.
Yeah.
Because what he's missing in life is a feeling of belonging, a feeling of love.
Yes.
Because it's been made abundantly clear to him that he is basically in a rattlesnake's nest where no one around him loves him.
Yes, that's one of the common themes about shows or about the guy at the top of the pile. The Sopranos is a little like, part of any king story in a way is about the loneliness and the isolation that comes with being the central power figure of a bigger organization. Kind of like Teletubbies.
Yeah.
The purple one was calling all the shots.
Yeah. And who knows what was in that purse?
Well, it was the baby and the son. Yeah.
Do you know what the purple one's name was?
Uh-oh!
Jerry Falwell taught you nothing. It's Tinky Winky.
Oh, Tinky Winky. Yes, of course. with the coat hanger on top of his head.
They all had that.
Yeah, that's the
They
one
had,
they
like,
all thought was.
antennas.
That's the one they said was gay because they had a coat hanger, carried a purse. The coat hanger is a triangle, which apparently they said is a gay. I don't know.
And also
he's
Illuminati
purple.
confirmed.
Yeah, it's like all right, calm down.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the Teletubbies and their dicks.
That man truly.
Anyway, we're
wasted
getting
his
off
life.
track. We're getting off track. We're getting off track. Okay, so he meets
not
her.
off track. It was religion. Jerry Falwell. Same boat.
Yeah, religion, Teletubbies. The big thrust of the episode, though, is this big speech coming up at the end. And I know you're not at the speech yet, but
Actually, that is where I am.
Oh, okay.
Because the important thing is that Viejo, whose name I can't say, actually wrote a speech for Lenny to read.
Yes.
And even
the address.
The address.
They kept saying address, which kept throwing me off because I'm like, he's not gonna. It's pronounced address is a speech. Address is where you live.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different in Vatican land or something.
Yeah, and even Sister Mary read what he wrote and complimented him on it, saying this is very balanced, this is very loving, this is very tender and endearing. I think it's beautiful.
Yes.
And she tells that to Lenny, and even in spite of her advising him that this is a great address to give. Address,
yeah,
whatever.
Sure, whatever.
He does not take her advice.
Well, there's also the dynamic, though, before we get to the address, I'm getting where she's talking to him about it. She's sort of an advisor. She knows she's got a lot of familiarity.
And she calls him Lenny.
She's calling him Lenny over and over, and that's where he tells her, "You will from now on, you will call me Your Holiness." And she's like, "Yes, Your Holiness."
Yeah.
So that's kind of fucked up.
She doesn't like that. I mean,
it'd be like if I told my mom, "From now on, call me Pope Hank."
Yeah, I remember when
and
she
better.
Yeah, when he first met her, he called her Sister Mary, and she was like, no, call me Ma.
Yeah, that's right.
She was always informal with him from a loving perspective, and now he is not returning the favor to her.
Yes. He's assuming the holier high Pope talking to God role pretty well.
Yeah, it's just like in the prior episode where he kind of gave a dressing down to the woman who came up, his cook, and kissed him.
Yeah.
And called him sweetie or something like that, and he was like, no, formality is hard, it is lasting, it is unwavering. Familiarity, that is when people forget their roles and the line gets blurred.
He wants order.
Yes.
And structure, just like the Lord.
Yeah.
Which is why he created the universe.
Right.
So go ahead.
Sure. So we finally get to the big day of the speech.
Yeah.
And when he gets up to the pulpit, and by the way, we forgot to mention that when he was talking about wanting to be an invisible pope, he stressed that he wanted the people in the audience not to be able to look upon his face. He wanted the lights to be as dim as possible, such that all they saw was a silhouette of him.
Right.
So we get to the day of the speech. He's approaching the balcony, and the lights are just as he requested. All they can see is a silhouette of him. So they're cheering and clapping and excited about this.
Yes.
And he puts his speech up on the pulpit. I guess you can call it a pulpit.
Yeah.
And it's not a speech that he's prepared. It's not one that was written by Voyero. It is the card from the warehouse that the child wrote to him.
Yeah, it's like a kid's drawing, like a big construction paper.
With the question, how do I know God loves me, or how do I know how to love God?
Or whatever
Something to that
thing
extent.
is. But it's a very simple question, and that's just, that's obviously the inspiration for what he's, and then that's not what he reads. He doesn't go read.
But it seems like he almost wings it, using that as his inspiration.
I don't think he winged it. I think he...
Well, he prepared it, but
I think that was like his flashcard, basically.
Yeah,
that sort of triggered
that kept him on track.
The way he had remembered it. Because... So then he gets into this really intense lecture and just starts really railing about you are not close to God.
Right.
And there's 24 hours in a day, and you could spend every moment being close to God. There's no room for anything other than God.
But he tricks us.
Oh.
Because he starts off with, "What have we forgotten?" Which is the same way he started off in his Fever Dreams speech in the first episode, in which he came out being like a more loving, progressive, open pope.
Yeah.
And he starts off the same way, but the path he turns down is completely different.
Yeah, he goes straight hardcore, hey, assholes, you're letting me down, you're letting God down. And then somebody goes, "We want to see your face." And he goes, and he yells at, I thought it was interesting that he actually responds to people. I don't think that's what goes on at the Basilica. And not that I watch a lot of Pope highlights, but I'm not sure, other than like the Pope going, "Yes, cheer, cheer," so he goes, "My face, you'll see my face if you ever find God," or something like that.
First go find God, and once you find him, then maybe perhaps at that point you will also see my face.
They'll never see his face, basically.
Yeah.
Because you can't really, well, maybe you can believe you can or something. But all the other cardinals are like, "Oh, fuck, what's this guy doing?"
Everyone is like hushed and silent. No one else is as enthused as they really were. He's giving them a lashing.
A dressing down, you might say.
Yeah, it's pure vitriol. It's a lecture.
Yeah, but it shows, it marks a pretty stark turn to, I would imagine there'd been popes in the past that were similar to that, where they're like, fuck you, love God all the time. Just sort of that like hard, stern, like smack you on the back of the head, and maybe not even that friendly.
It kind of harkens back to what he said about how he has an aversion to tourists, because he's saying they're just passing through.
Yeah.
They don't live in the obligations and the stress and the constant commitment to God that he does every single day of his life.
Yeah.
So he's turning to them and saying, you should also go through what I go 24 hours a day. Your devotion should be complete as my devotion is complete.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just a tourist and you're not worthy of me or God.
Yeah. Well, the worthiness comes up because...
after something hilarious happens.
Someone with a green laser pen, shines it at him right from the crowd, which I bet that's happened. I mean, there's enough knuckleheads. I wouldn't do that.
It was like swats at it.
Yeah, I'll say disrespectful things on my fucking YouTube channel, but if I were there, I would be totally respectful of the moment. So yeah, he like swats at it. He's like, "Hey, don't hit me with the don't
stop it."
I love that he reacted.
And the fact that he was completely powerless to do anything about it too.
Yeah, it's sort of what can you do?
Yeah.
I kind of would have expected somebody in the audience to people, a whole crowd of pretty generally aligned people, their thinking is generally aligned, is what I'm trying to say. That if you pull out a laser, someone's gonna take the laser and push you or say, "Hey, fuck face, what are you doing? That's the Pope over there." I not that I thought that was unrealistic or anything, but that ended his speech, and he just throws him off, and he just kind of looks around, and he's like, that's it. And he's like, and he storms off like, "They're not worthy of me."
Yeah, he's even saying this. I mean, the microphone's probably not picking it up, but he's muttering to himself as though he's truly been shaken by this experience.
Yeah. So I mean, he punishes the crowd by ending it early, basically saying, "All right, fine, you're not going to okay,
right." And
it's over."
In his dream, when he appears, it's raining and thundering and storming. But when he appears, the sky opens up, the sun comes out, and everyone cheers for him.
Yeah.
Here it's the exact opposite. He comes out at night, and after his speech is done, lightning cracks in the sky and rain pours down.
This was like James said, it was the reverse.
Yeah.
He did it in totally the reverse. The reverse sentiment, the reverse weather, the umbrellas.
The reverse time of day.
The reverse time of day. The umbrellas came up instead of being taken down, like in in episode 1. Really intense though. I mean, that whole final sequence was like, well, and they made such interesting music choices. At one point earlier in the episode, there was kind of like a, not bassy, but sort of a beat that kind of pushed things along a little bit. The ending in this one with the speech thing, there was sort of a darn, like I don't know. I just found the choices really cool. So you liked it?
I think this entire episode really came down to a new question that is posing to the audience. In the first episode, it was Voyeo is the devil incarnate. He's the bad guy. Lenny's the good guy. In this episode, we see a softer, better side of Voyeo. We see him visiting the disabled boy. We see him writing an impassioned, loving speech.
He also has an interaction with Sister Mary where there's in the park where they don't come to any kind of peace, but they sort of look at each other. He calls her a worthy adversary.
An adversary, yeah, which is kind of a moment of brevity.
But you also get a sense that they're sort of both in a similar position where they think they have more influence on this crazy pope than they thought they did, and they're realizing that, oh man, this is we got like a tiger here. We're not sure we know how to wrangle this beast.
Yeah, it basically painted him in more shades of gray, where he's not a true villain. He's not necessarily the blanketed bad guy.
Yeah,
he's got more complexity to him, which I like.
Yeah.
So really, the question that comes into play is Voyeo the hero and is Lenny the villain?
Well, how does the episode end? The very last scene, they show Voyeo crying, distressed.
Yeah,
with the disabled
boy saying that such terrible things I've had to do to protect the city.
That I'm going to have to do.
Okay, yeah.
He's basically saying that, the horrible things I'm going to have to do to save the church.
Yeah.
So he sees Jude Law as a threat, and probably since Artificial AI, the movie came out, because I've always thought that he was very threatening in that movie. But the Voyeo thing though is like he's racked with guilt because he knows that to do the right thing, the bigger risk of rescuing the church from this maniac, or at least that's how he perceives it, he's going to have to commit smaller sins, do worse, or so that's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah,
because things are never as black and white as we would all hope they were, or as the stories we tell.
Yeah, this episode is kind of like a mirror image of the first episode. Things are kind of flip flopping.
Yeah, kind of. Cool. All right.
And so, the final thought for me though is if you think that if someone yells out, "Hey, J-Law," do you think Jude Law and Jennifer Lawrence should both look at the same time?
Yes. And then J-Lo comes over.
No.
I don't know.
There's always room for J-Lo.
Always room for J-Lo. So anyway, there you go, everybody. But before we leave, it is time for surprise confessional. Bring it in. All right. Okay, James, you have been selected once again for a surprise. I know you are a sinful man. You're a sinner. I see it in your dirty, gross nipples. Tell me quickly your sins. Confess now. Speak up, for I shall vanquish you. I will poke you in the eye with my Pope hat.
Sometimes I leave the faucet running longer than I need to when I brush my teeth.
You have caused the California drought. You are the reason why agricultural production is down in the largest economic state in the country, and therefore you need to go say 14 lawn darts and 16 Hershey Kisses Jello pudding pops. Sorry. And no boners for a week. Very well. Make it so. Engage. Bye. Bye, everybody. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube show. We're going to be talking about the Pope, and we also do other shows and video game stuff. James?
Yes.
All right. 10%. Pay up, bitch.